Hello there, from Belfast, and a very special place, the location where the world's most famous ship was built and from where it set sail 100 years ago. That ship, the Titanic, still has a hold on our imaginations, and in a month from now, Belfast will become the focus of a worldwide commemoration as we remember the tragic loss of life and reflect on the legacy of what was known as the unsinkable ship. On this week's Songs of Praise, the woman whose father was Titanic's interior designer, a driving force behind the city's Titanic Quarter, and one of the few people to visit the ship's graveyard, and music from special guests Brian Houston and the Celtic Tenors. Even before she set sail in April 1912 on that fateful maiden voyage across the Atlantic, Titanic was making headlines. She was the world's largest ship and had standards of luxury, elegance and ironically safety which were unsurpassed at the time. As we never forget the disaster that resulted in more than 1,500 people losing their lives, there's a line in a well-known hymn that comes to mind. "Oh, here is when we cry to thee for those in peril on the sea." Our congregation from St. Thomas's Parish Church lead us now in that seafarer's hymn. Just a short distance from St. Thomas's Church is the home of Titanic's chief engineer and designer Thomas Andrews, now the home of the Irish Football Association. In fact, the staircase here in the front hall is said to be the inspiration for the grander one. For all too short a time, the wealthy passengers revelled in glorious opulence. But the story of Titanic is more than just an account of engineering excellence. It's a story of human endeavour, ambition and courage. When Titanic struck that iceberg at 11:40 p.m. on Sunday, the 14th of April 1912, the order was given to start filling lifeboats. Thomas Andrews ensured the survival of passengers, but his own body was never recovered. Mike McKim is BBC Northern Ireland's environment correspondent. In the course of his work, he was invited to film an expedition to the bottom of the sea to view Titanic's final resting place. For Mike, that became a pilgrimage.
It took about 2 days from the coast of Canada to actually get to the Titanic site, and then suddenly one afternoon the ship's engines stopped. we drifted, I realised we're there, we're over the Titanic, and I wandered to the side of the ship and I looked down, the sea was very calm, but I realised this was where it all took place on that fateful night, way back in April 1912, where all these people died. And you struggle with that. I struggle with it very hard. I can remember almost fighting back the tears, even talking about it now, the hair stand up my neck, because it was such an emotional time. We'd been built up for the expedition and suddenly here we were at the gravesite, and that was very, very hard to cope with, and that stayed with us during the whole trip. I saw people actually crying. People really believed this was an important site. It was a hallowed site, if you like, but this was a gravesite where hundreds of people had died, and died a horrible death all those years ago. And that kind of stuck with me all the way through the dive. I realised that I had to remember why I was really there, and I was marking the fact of this terrible tragedy that had taken place. As you go very slowly towards the bow of the ship, it looms out of the darkness, and you've mixed emotions. You're very excited to see the ship. You've only ever seen it in pictures and films. But at the same time, all the way through filming the ship, I kept on looking out and thinking, people died, people were in those cabins. One of the most stunning images I have is looking down into what used to be the grand staircase, a big hole that runs down through various decks in the ship. It once would have had a wooden staircase, would have had a glass dome over it, but all of that is gone. And when you look down, it was huge, it was deep, it was very eerie. You saw right into the Titanic, deck after deck after deck, and it was a stunning sight. The reason I actually went to Titanic, I was asked by the Belfast City Council to put this memorial plaque on the bridge of the ship with some other plaques. It was from Harlan Wolff and the people of Belfast in memory of those who had died on the Titanic. And there it is to this day, this plaque, and I was very touched and moved by that. And it was a great honour to be asked. And I kind of felt myself saying inside, this is for you. I don't know quite who I was talking to, but I suspect it was the people that the plaque referred to. But it was a wonderful time. As well as diving to the ship, I went on then to visit the Titanic graveyard in Halifax in Nova Scotia, and it's where over 100 bodies that were found were buried. And of course there's people from the north of Ireland are there, there's people from all around the world, including children, and that was particularly poignant. But somehow going there helped me close that circle and helped me pay my respects. So being able to do that in many ways gave me a little bit of settlement and comfort that finally I'd completed a task that I'd set out to do, and then I didn't feel so bad about having gone down to the ship and been in their space.